There seems to be a weird accusation from critics of Christianity that Jesus didn't claim to be God, specifically from Muslim apologists and atheistic critics. So here are 4 places where Jesus claimed to be God in the Gospels. The Gospel of Mark is widely believed to be the earliest gospel that was written, so let's start there. When Jesus was brought before the council of the Sanhedrin, he was condemned to death on charges of blasphemy. In Mark 15 we read, "The high priest asked him, 'Are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed?' And Jesus said, 'I am, and you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power and coming with the clouds of heaven.' And the high priest tore his garments and said, 'What further witness do we need? You have heard his blasphemy. What is your decision?' And they all condemned him as deserving death." So here Jesus is actually quoting divine imagery from the book of Daniel. "I saw in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven there came one like the Son of Man, and he came to the Ancient of Days and was presented before him. And to him was given dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom one that shall not be destroyed." So here Jesus is applying divine imagery from the Old Testament to himself, and his point was definitely understood by the high priest because the high priest accused him of blasphemy. So why was Jesus condemned to death on charges of blasphemy if he didn't claim to be God? Here's another example from the Gospel of Mark. "And when he returned to Capernaum after some days, it was reported that he was at home. And many were gathered together so that there was no more room, not even at the door. And he was preaching the word to them. And they came, bringing to him a paralytic carried by 4 men. And when they could not get near him because of the crowd, they removed the roof above him. And when they had made an opening, they let down the bed on which the paralytic lay. And when Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralytic, 'Son, your sins are forgiven.' Now some of the scribes were sitting there, questioning in their hearts, 'Why does this man speak like that? He is blaspheming. Who can forgive sins but God alone?' And immediately Jesus, perceiving in his spirit that they thus questioned within themselves, said to them, 'Why do you question these things in your hearts? Which is easier to say to the paralytic, Your sins are forgiven, or to say, Rise, take up your bed, and walk? But that you may know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins,' he said to the paralytic, 'I say to you, rise, pick up your bed, and go home.' And he rose and immediately picked up his bed and went out before them all, so that they were all amazed and glorified God, saying, 'We never saw anything like this.'" So here we have a standard that was articulated by the scribes. God alone forgives sins. And Jesus says that he has the authority to forgive sins. This is very clearly equating himself with God. The Gospel of John is generally believed to be the latest gospel that was written, so let's see what it says. John 10:30, "I and the Father are one." John 8:58, Jesus said to them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am." So here are 4 very clear statements that Jesus claimed to be God, in contradiction to skeptics who claim otherwise. That's all I have for you today. Hit the button, hit the bell. Catch you later.